Hello and welcome to this week's coffee vlog. It's Friday the 20th of September. Heading home at about 6 o'clock nearly. Let's turn that off. Let's find Mr. Ellis wherever he's hiding. Do the words of wisdom and then go home. So Mr. Ellis says, my things for you to talk about on your vlog. Me has watched Thomas and the Magic Railroad. It's a good one that. I remember that from watching that with Callum. 2, me as I've been to Ogden Water, the Royal Armouries to see the talk show of the Terracotta Warriors on Monday, and Beautiful Park and Fairburn Ings as Penang Magpie trips on Tuesday and Friday. Very good. Me as I've been to Cafe Passion with my mum on Wednesday evening. Sounds tasty. 4, my Alton Towers and Turkey holidays being sorted as Alton Towers is from Friday tomorrow. Did you used to watch The Weakest Link? Yes, I did. The new Downton Abbey film. My sister, as she has had a baby called James last week and 1 day ago. Oh, well done to your sister for having the baby. Right, let's see if we can escape. Oh, surprisingly quiet. Escape. So, in case you didn't notice, you probably didn't, no one cares anyway, no vlog last week because I was in a bit of a grumpy mood, so I didn't feel like doing it. So, there you are, didn't do it because I didn't feel like it. What's been happening? I don't know, it's 2 weeks worth of what's been happening really, isn't there? But nothing particularly exciting. Loads of work, of course, as normal. Busy roasting coffee, yeah, so we've had a lot of local customers come on board now. In fact, I've just been to Glore, a Scandinavian restaurant in Halifax, and just dropped them a machine off that they're going to have a go with, see how they get on with that, and they're going to do my coffee, so that's great. Last weekend didn't really do very much, to be honest. Saturday chilled about the house. Sunday took Callum and his mates to Aero Bounce in Bradford for a nice long session, because it was a bit rubbish last weekend, wasn't it, weather-wise? Pepped up a bit now, at least. So, other mysterious things that were happening. Now going back 2.5 weeks or so, the power went off at home, which is not anything special about that really. Just woke up one morning and everything, well, it was about 6 AM, I woke up and it was all dark, and that's pretty unusual because I normally have the lights on and there was no whirring or buzzing noise or anything. And
warning,
power cut. It came back on after about half an hour.
Mute on.
So I didn't think anything of it. It came on about half an hour after I'd woken up and realised it was off. But one thing I noticed later on the Saturday, in the end, I think it was Saturday morning, is the first generation Apple time capsule I had, got a long time ago. I mean, it's old as it is anyway, but I got it used with a dead power supply and soldered some new capacitors to it, because it was apparently like a major issue that Apple had with them, that they used poor quality capacitors in the power supply bit in it, and they kept going. So I'd basically resoldered some new ones to that, and it had run fine for ages. It did go a little bit funny probably about 1.5 years back. Well, actually, I think I did a thing about it anyway, because in the end I took out the 3.5-inch drive that was in the time capsule and put in a laptop 2.5-inch drive, because it only needs 5 volt instead of 12 volts, so it needs less power. And it was okay then. I think it was still struggling to do power, even though it got power still. It was struggling to do the 12 volt power. So anyway, that faithful old time capsule that's still plugging away, don't use it a great deal really, but it's quite handy. It's a bit of a hub for other things, because I've got so many network things. So anyway, on the Saturday I realised it was off. No power light, nothing. Not showing on the network, completely dead. I thought that's weird, so unplug the power, plug the power back in again, and it didn't do nothing. Tried that a few times, tried pressing the reset button, and it's just completely dead. So I thought, oh, so this power's gone off, and it's just killed off the power supply module completely now. So that's had it, hasn't it? So I mean, I thought about repairing it, whatever else, and I didn't really use it a lot. But I thought I'll have a look and see if I can pick up a cheap used one again, preferably one that's broken again, and see if I can make a good out of two bad ones. So on the Saturday I hunted about through on eBay, and I found an auction for a 4th generation 2 terabyte model that had started not always showing the power light and it was being a bit flaky, so the guy had wiped the 2 terabyte drive, and he was auctioning it, and it was only at like £12 at auction that point, and the 2 terabyte drive's worth quite a lot. So I thought, well, I'll put like what the drive's worth, well, probably a bit less than that actually. I put up to £30. I thought, well, if nothing else, I've got a 2 terabyte drive, and that can go in the boys' gaming PC, which is struggling for space, and that'll be sorted then. 2 terabytes will be a great improvement on storage. So put a bid in up to £30, and the Sunday afternoon when it finished, it went right up to like £28, but I got it at £28, so I was like, great, about the cost of a drive, lovely. Went upstairs, happened to look where the old time capsule is on the floor, which was non-functioning, and would you believe the green light was on? It was working again. It hadn't worked from the Thursday until the Saturday night I'd last looked at it. So like 2.5 days, no power. All of a sudden, because I won an auction for a replacement one, oh, we're gonna work now. So I was like, oh, that's fantastic. So now I've got one turning up to replace what's now working again. But I mean, I was just using it as a hub, but that was quite handy because I hadn't realised how many things were not running because it had gone off. So I won the auction anyway, so that turned up a couple of days later. The replacement one, and sure enough, plugged it in, didn't do nothing. So it was like, right, fine. And then I was looking at it because I thought it'd just be like the power supply thing again, but I didn't fancy soldering this one. So I thought I'll see if I can get a replacement. But then I was looking up at issues with them. It did say the 4th generation had a new unique one, which was the actual main board had a problem, not the power supply. And it needed, basically it was the solder on the main board again, a bit like with the graphics thing with my Mac Pro. Basically it gets super hot, the solder gets like little cracks in it, and then it stops everything working correctly. So of course the solution is to reflow the solder on the main board. But anyway, to prove that this was the issue, not the power, all you had to do is turn it off and then hold it to your ear and turn it on, and if you could hear the hard drive whirring inside, then it had power, and the problem was actually the main board. So I did that, and sure enough I could hear the drive humming away as soon as I put power to it, but there's no power light coming along, and the time capsule wasn't doing anything. So I thought, great, here we go, reflow the circuit board again. Of course, what they suggest to do is take the whole board out and stick it in the oven for ages, which I've got no intention of pulling all of the bits out. So I opened it up, took the hard drive out, which I was going to use elsewhere anyway, removed some, there was like the hard drive temperature sensor cable, and obviously the power supply bit and its connectors and cables. So I got it mostly free up. I thought I'm just going to leave the board in the thing because I'm not that bothered about it anyway. Grabbed my trusty old heat gun, and 5 minutes holding the hot air gun over the board, heating up all the solder joints. I was keeping an eye on it, and I could just about see the solder getting like glossy, you know, shiny glossy. So it was obviously melting some of the solder. Did get a bit concerned that I might end up just completely destroying everything. So 5 minutes hot air gun over it in its case, then left it for an hour to cool off to normal temperature. Put a spare 3.5 inch drive I had in and powered it up, and it booted up fine, no problem at all. So so that's it. I've ended up with 2 time capsules now and a 2 terabyte drive. What?
Hello, bad vlogger. You recording?
Yes.
Hello. Recording. Hello.